variable. What are variables? So if you pay close attention, we will see that all these things that we are typing, uh, let me remove all these type. We don't need them anymore. We don't need them for this particular class, right? Apologies. Trying to remove. So if you look at it very well, let's say we are working on an app or a software. We want to print first name, last name, name, age, and perhaps address. So let's say we are trying to build an address book. So if you are just typing 120, 32.76 through wherever, we can't reuse all these values. And one thing we want to do when we are doing computing or computation is reuse the information, the data that we are putting into the system over and over. So how do we make use of those values, of those data that are important to us? The only way that we can use them is to introduce the only way you can use them is through variables, and we'll be introducing the variable concepts in this class. So, what are variables here? Variables. What are variables? Variables are simply containers for storing data. So, what it means is that we have this 120 and we want to reuse it in the future. Let's say we want to add 120 plus 120. We can't just be typing 120 plus 120 everywhere. What if maybe after we have written 200 codes or 1000 code, a line of code, we want to add 120 to another value? How do we do that? So those values, if you don't use variable, they get lost in the system. It just is in a random memory, and by the time you shut down your system, you will lose the data. So how do you hold that data in memory on your computer? What you do is you use a variable. And how do we use a variable? So how do we use a variable? Let's say I want to print, I want to store my name, and I will go first name equals, because names are string, so it will be enclosed in a code. I will say Bolan, right? And what's my last name? My last name, let's say uh, Ayeshola. Yeah. And I can reuse this piece of information now because I have asked the computer that store Bolan in first name in memory, store Ayanshola in last name in memory. So if I want to reuse this information in future, I can just come to say print first name plus last name. If I do run and I put this up, you can see my name is written, is printed. And this, so anything on your left hand side that you are assigning any data to is called a variable, and they are containers for storing data values. So variables are containers for storing data values. And let's say I now came here, I want to say age. I want to also store my age, because age, they are numbers. If you can put it as a string, or you can put it as an integer, because age doesn't have any decimal point. And so how you are going to store it in a variable will depend on how you are going to use it in future. So if you are going to use maybe increase it, age goes up every year. So if you are going to add increase it every year, then you have to store it as integer. But if you are just going to display it without uh, doing some mathematical operation on it, then you can leave it as a string. But in this case, I'll be putting my age as 18. I wish I store it as an integer because maybe I want to add another year to it in future. So I say plus age. Then I click enter. If I do, so the computer is doing something here now, which we will go into. So you can see that I could add first name and last name because they are string, but you cannot add a string to an integer. So for me to go through with this explanation that I'm doing, I will just put it as a string. I'll run it again. So it says Bola and Shala 18, but you can see that it's not well printed. So all I have to do is here is add quote for space it out, add another add another quote here to space things out. If I click enter, then it says Bola and Shala 18. And if you want to really say, let's say, okay, hello, first name, last name, and we'll say, uh, you are age, uh, years old. Okay, that's another concept we're not going to now. Years old. So let's space everything out. You do that, and you will see you print hello Bola and Inshallah, you are 18 years old. So we get the gist. So this is how a variable works. And they are variable because they can be changed. And let's say, for example, I come back here, I copy the same first name, last name. I put, let's pick somebody at random here. Uh, let's put Oluwa Sheung and change it to Abolude. And we say she's 23. And if you copy this print and we come here, so this is the beauty of variable. So here, I came here, I assigned Bolao by this equal sign to first name. I assigned Ayenshala to this last name. Assigned the age as 18, and I'm printing. Yeah. So let's give ourselves a bit of space here. Let's say print uh, new uh, value change, just a value change. So when I send the first print command, it will contain my name, and because I'm changing what variable contains here, it will print something else. Abolude, sorry about that. Aboluwade. So if I hit run, so here first name and last name are Gbolahan and Dayanshala, and age is 18. And first name, last name, sorry, the age should appear before the print so that it will change. I click run again. So you can see that when we change those values, then they are changed when you print the command. So that is how variable work. So this variable now is holding a string. This variable is holding a string. That variable is holding a string. And let's say we want to enter another variable. that will hold maybe, let's say, number one equals 23, number two equals 34. Then we can easily do sum equals number one plus number two. And we can easily say print sum. So watch here. I said number one is 23, number two is 24. Sum is the addition of number one and number two. And I am printing sum. Notice that sum is not contained in any quote. So if I put sum in a quote, it's going to print sum for me. But here I want to print the value that is contained in sum. So what the computer will come do is come here, assign 23 to number one, then assign 24 to number two, then assign the addition, the sum of number one plus number two into sum, then we'll print the sum. So let's find out. And we're expecting 47, right? And the sum is 47. So you can go further and say uh, the addition of num1 plus num of, that's to num, let's say the sum of num1 and num2 equals, space it, do that, and put a comma. Yeah. So anytime there is an error, if if the syntax is not right, you will see this red squiggly line. So that will mean something is wrong with your syntax. But if it's right, if you click enter, it should print it for you. So the sum of number one and number two is 47. So that's how things work. And if you come here, you change this to 56, 569 plus 24. So it gives you the sum. And if you change this to a float, 56, so it does the promotion, right? One number is float, another one is integer. So remember this in your interview. Remember this if you ever went for an interview. If one number is float and the other is integer, the addition will be promoted to a float.